We think that life is about getting something. So life is about having purpose and getting somewhere and being something. But actually life is simply about it happening, it appearing. And what seems to happen in the human is they seem to lose home. They forget who they are is everything. What the love is, everything they've ever dreamed of or wanted is actually what's happening. They forget this and they go on this journey in time. They go on this journey to complete themselves in time. I'm going to get something in time. I'm going to go somewhere in time. I'm going to save the world, save the planet, bring down the bad people, go on all these adventures. And this, to a part, has fun in it. And is very exciting, this mission to do things. And everything that the person, everything that you dream about doing is actually you seeking for home. And it doesn't mean that the things that you do are irrelevant or that you shouldn't do them, but it's all about getting back to home. You lost home and you're trying to look for it, but you're always trying to look for it in the next moment. So you're trying to look for it in completing the mission of something. Whereas actually, what you're always looking for is right here. And this is magical, this is spectacular. This is a non-divided reality right here. This is shocking to that person because you always thought that you were separate from all things appearing, but actually there is no space between you and things. There is simply what is, and there is actually no time and no space. That's all in imagination, and the imagination of your world and you has become an energetical thing, so you feel like you're inside the body and you're in relationship with others and that you're going through time, that you sat here and that you're listening to me speak. But actually, you didn't just sit here, there's an image of you sitting here. There's an image of you coming into the room. Actually, what's always happening is this present moment, this, with forms changing in this. And this is love. This is total and utter love. And it doesn't have too much to say on what the person's like or not like. It's not really about becoming a peaceful person or a nice person, although when this shift happens, when it's seen that you aren't a separate person inside here and there's this energetic shift, it changes the personality. It stops so many neurotic games, so it really changes things, but it doesn't make you, like we imagine that what we're going to end up is like that image of the Buddha, you know how he's sitting in that still perfect position, but that image of the Buddha that's sitting in the lotus position is actually meaning to point to the emptiness behind all things, not what it's like to be manifested in form. The manifest in form in Hinduism, so you've got Shiva that sits there stilly, and then Shakti dances on him. She actually dances on his thighs, and she's the manifest. So we get this image that we're going to be still like a Buddha as a human, but this is total oppression. This is trying to make yourself the emptiness. The essence is emptiness, but as the human, the expression is to be totally individual and unique. And it doesn't mean behaving a certain way. Although it changes a lot of the neurotic games, because the separate person is often based, or the separate person is solely based on a neurosis, which is I am separate. So it changes things. And then what seems to be happening here in Lisa's story is that change seems to have a momentum in time. So over the years, Lisa's relaxed more and changed, and the traumas have changed and her behaviour's improved. But it still sometimes has old tendencies that have come from being a separate person. But there's no longer the energy of feeling separate anymore. So it still sometimes can act from neurotic traumas that came prior to awakening, but then no longer feels like somebody separate experiencing. But it seems like through time, the karmas of the body-mind mechanism, the habits that have built up over many years of being separate, take time to even out. And I can imagine in some bodies, particularly if they're older, they maybe that karma stays strongly in place, even though there's a relaxing of it, it stays strongly. Some of these ways of being. So it's not about being a dead person, it's being totally alive. And that means being fully human, which means that you have anger, which means that you can have sadness, you can have grief, joy, happiness, bliss, jealousy, everything you can have. All of these things, but none of them's for someone, none of that makes you up anymore.